Welcome to the member for West Vancouver Capilano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much to the member of Surrey Cloverdale. Normally, Mr. Speaker, if I was going to be making a response and I stood up and discovered, as I have today, that the second page of my notes are missing, I would really panic. But because today I can tell you a little bit about some of my personal experience, and I know a lot about this now, so I'm not going to panic. When I looked out in my yard this past weekend, I could see the tops of the daffodils pushing their way through the wet soil. The rain was pelting down and the weather still cold, but there they were nonetheless. The first flower to bloom in the spring is the daffodil. It's a symbol of strength, courage, and even hope. This is the reason it's the symbol of the Canadian Cancer Society's Daffodil campaign. April is Daffodil Month, and I'm very pleased that we've taken the time to recognize that here today. Every day, more than 600 Canadians hear the words, "You have cancer." On November 10th, this last year, I became one of them. I know, my goodness, I didn't know where that was going to come. I know so many of my colleagues in the House have been impacted as well. Themselves, a family member, or a friend. The leader of the third party shared last week her personal story of the impact of cancer on her and her family. And since my diagnosis, so many people in this House have reached out to me, and constituents and people in the public, to share their stories and to share their support. And it didn't matter what side of the House everyone was on. We all come together with each other when we're going through something like this. The first Daffodil Days took place in 1957, and that was long before men donned their mustaches for November. In fact, it's the longest-running Canadian charity event in history. Donors have provided more than $1.4 billion to cancer research since its inception. And it's because of research like that and new equipment that we have and new knowledge that we have in cancer research and diagnosis that the story I have to tell is actually a very positive one. I was diagnosed with invasive lobular cancer, and until I actually had a cancer diagnosis, I didn't know what any of this stuff was, and you go online and you talk to everybody and you figure out what it is, but those of you who have been impacted will understand what this is. So invasive lobular cancer, but I am one of a very select group of people in the world who also was diagnosed as NNN. And this is apparently a very, very rare condition that they don't even have any research on. And so this was obviously quite terrifying to me. But because of the research and their ability to diagnose this cancer at stage 1, where I was told if it was even 3 months earlier, they wouldn't have seen it, and it's because of these amazing machines and the amazing people that look at the diagnosis or look at the outcome and the pathology, that I am actually, my pathology now shows no cancer. I've just finished my radiation, and I am one of the very, very lucky few that can say this experience, if anything, has actually been a good experience for me, but it's because my outcome is so positive. And one day I know that research will find the key to prevention and to a cure. When I looked around the waiting room at BC Cancer, I saw people of all backgrounds, of all ages, of all genders, and I also understood that behind each one of them there was a family, a child, that were also scared and concerned about the journey that they were going through. A friend of mine years ago told me a story about her own cancer diagnosis, and I think it's worth sharing for us to think about this. When she told her friends and her colleagues at work, she was really surprised that a number of the people she expected to reach out to her didn't. And the reason it is because we're scared and we're anxious and we're not sure what we should say to somebody. We're not feeling comfortable about talking about cancer. But please remember that that is the most important time to reach out and to show your support for someone else. As we know, there's a shortage of family care doctors in British Columbia, but there's also a shortage of radiologists and oncologists. We hope more people will go into cancer research as their as their career. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to end by saying 3 things, and I'll try and do it in 24 seconds. First, by wishing my dear friend Christina all my love and support. I spoke with her only this morning to learn that she is battling a much more aggressive type of breast cancer and will have a much more difficult journey than I, so God bless you, Christina. And to give my sincerest thank you to the people at BC Cancer and the Canadian Cancer Society and those people who have committed their careers to helping people. And I'd also like to thank everyone here in the House and ask that everyone inside this House and outside take time this month to don a daffodil and to donate to the Canadian Cancer Society. Thank you so much.